everybody and welcome back. We're here for another Altered Index 2024 Tuesday challenge. So last week we obviously kicked it off with our first challenge. The prompts were dark blue, sweet and scraps, and this was the card that I created. The only thing that I've added since last week was the little number 1 on my tab. As I said, I'm going to keep these because it may be that once I've built up my 52 cards, then next year I might challenge myself to actually maybe do a weekly journaling session and journal on the back of them. So I have kept the back part blank. I want to say a massive thank you to everybody that has watched the video, commented, and those that are also taking part in the challenge. Seeing your posts and how you've interpreted the different prompts has been absolutely wonderful to see. So thank you very much to everybody that has been joining in. If you are new here, don't worry and don't feel like you need to catch up either. The beauty of this is because I'm doing a weekly challenge, I'm hoping it's more manageable. If there's a particular week where the prompts don't speak to you or you just don't have time, because let's face it, life certainly does happen and get in the way of our crafting time a lot. So yeah, don't worry, just dip in where you can and where you want to. So on with this week's challenge then. So again, as I said last week, my daughter has made it her kind of job to pick out the different prompts each week. So there are 3 every single week. So we'll start with the colour. And the colour that she picked for this time is plum. Now, as I explained in the first video, because I'm doing this over the whole year, so 52 weeks, I was able to get together 52 things, which is one of the other prompts, and 52 words, but trying to come up with 52 colours was very, very tricky. I came up with 26, and while this says plum, any purple will do. I am not the colour police, so I'm not going to be saying, oh, hang on, you haven't used the exact shade of purple. Just use what you have. I'm not even sure I've got the right shade of plum. But yeah, I'm going to use what I have. So yeah, the idea is to use a kind of purple. The next prompt is the word. So the word this time is genuine. And as I said last time, you can interpret this how you like. So you can either have the word on your card, which I have done in the last one, or it can be the theme, which I also did in the last one. But obviously you don't have to do both. So yeah, this week's word is genuine. And the last prompt, the things, are holes. So again, interpret that however you wish, but the next prompt is holes. So once I got those prompts, and as I said, obviously I've had a little bit of a time to think about what I wanted to do. And I was trying to think, I thought holes is easy enough, plum obviously is fine, genuine. I was trying to think, would this be the theme or would it be just an item that's included? And I thought, well, I've got lots of these sort of genuine vintage tickets. So I then started thinking, oh, okay, maybe I do a kind of travel theme. So I had a rummage through my stash because one of the main targets for this is to use up some of my stash. And I found this little travel papers booklet, and it did have a kind of purpley coloured map, which I thought would be quite nice. It's also got a collaged page of all different kind of stamps that again has some plum coloured stamps in there. So I was thinking of going down the travel theme. But as I was digging around and finding this paper pad, I then came across these beautiful floral papers. And when I saw those, I kind of was more drawn to doing something floral. So this I think is what I'm going to go with. It may be that after I've played around with this, I make another one. There are no rules to say that you only have to make one altered index, so I might make the travel one, but I'm not sure yet. So I'm going to use these florals, and obviously they've got my plum colour. For the genuine, I then obviously had to have a rethink because I thought, well, I could use a ticket, but it doesn't really go with the florals. So again, I had a little rummage and I dug out this. So again, I've got some genuine vintage material. So I thought, well, I can use the kind of trim maybe on the card somewhere at the bottom, at the top or on the side. So I've got that. I still have some vintage book page that I was using in the last one as well, so I thought that could be perhaps used on there, and I've got a little doily as well from the last one. So I'm going to go with the florals. So I'm just going to move some of the bits that I'm not using out of the way. Right, okay, so I've got my index card and I've got my papers. Now the first thing I need to think about is which of the florals I'm going to use, because I don't want to use both of them. I think that would be a bit too much. They're both really pretty, but I think I like the fact that we've got the contrast with the blue in here as well. So I think I'm going to use these two. And when I was thinking of having a kind of diagonal torn between the two, and then yeah, having the lace at the bottom, and then where it's torn along the edge, I've got some of this rub and buff, which is an antique gold, so I thought that might look quite nice being rubbed up along the kind of tear as well, just to add a little bit to it. I also, as I said, I do have book page and the doily from last time, so I could try and include those. I also did a little bit of die cutting, so I used greens only because obviously there is some green in here and I don't want too much purple. While plum is the colour, I didn't want to overwhelm it with plum. So I've got some different greens, and while some of them are kind of just a leaf, the other ones are supposed to have like little berries. So I was then thinking of using these things because I've got purples, I've even got a blue that closely matches that blue, so again I thought that would kind of tie everything in quite nicely as well. So that's my thinking, that's my train of thought. So let's start trying to put this together and kind of see how we get on. So I'm just going to move those out of the way for the moment, because the first thing I need to do is obviously get that tear down the middle. So I'm just kind of lining this up. Now obviously this is a 6x6, and either my paper pad's completely wonky or my index card. It could be either. Oh, it fits better that way. Okay, so I'm going to start tearing from this corner, and I need to tear all the way up to the other corner. Okay, so it's something like that. Just checking if it looks okay the other way as well, actually. Yeah, it does. So the orientation of the flowers doesn't matter. I think I'm going to have it that way only because I'm thinking I was thinking of the leaves coming down. So I'm going to have it that way, which means I need this in the background. So again, I'm just going to pull it. Now obviously I want it to be tucked under this one, so I'm going to tear a little bit kind of further down. So let's just see where that corner is. So it's about there. So I'm just going to tear along. Obviously, like I said, I can trim it, so it doesn't matter if I'm not exactly where I need to be. Right, so these two are scraps. I'm going to put those out the way. And then I said I wanted this at the top, didn't I? So like I said, it's overhanging a little bit here, but like I said, I can trim all of that at the end. That's not an issue. So that's going to go there. This one's going to be down the bottom like that. As I said, for some reason, either the paper or the index cards are not straight. But they're going to go on there like that. And then where this tear is, this is where I'm thinking of adding our rub and buff. And I'm also thinking, nope, that's upside down. That's still upside down. No, there's no way I can do it where it's the right way up, can I? It's always going to be upside down. Nope, okay, so forget that. Maybe a bit of doily. So I might tuck the doily under there as well. We're also obviously going to have oops, some of this either that way or that way, maybe that way. So that's going to be on there. Now it has been, the way it's sort of cut, it's curved that way, but I think I'm going to sort of fold it over when I sew and do that. And I am going to use my sewing machine as well to do this, rather than just sticking it down. You can absolutely stick it down with glue if you want to, but I do like using my sewing machine. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Do I want the doily in there though? Yes, I will have the doily. Okay, and then, whoops, as I said, these leaves will then kind of come down from the top. I'm obviously going to have the ones with the berries. And then the ones with the berries are the ones where I can have the kind of blue and purple gems on as well. And it just kind of brings it all together then, doesn't it? Let's look. So I've got 3 different greens. So I'm just trying to decide how it's kind of going to go together. So maybe the darker green in the middle. So it'll look something like this. I mean, I know it looks like a hot mess right now, but hopefully once it's all together, that'll go together quite nicely. Right, so let's start sticking some bits down. Now I don't mind obviously the stitching showing, so I'm not too worried about that. So the first thing I want to do is stick this one down. Okay, so as we can see, it is kind of overlapping a little bit, so I am just going to trim it up now, just so that when I'm lining up the other patterned paper, I can see exactly where the edges are. So it's just a smidge out. Okay, so we've got that one. Now obviously before I stick this down, I need to add some gold, and pop that under. Okay, so baby wipe at the ready, because this is going to get a little bit mucky. So I'm just going to kind of rub it along the edge of there. Now if you haven't got this, you can absolutely use paints if you've got paints. This was just a very, very cheap one. I've seen some extremely expensive ones actually, but this one was quite a cheap one that I believe I got from Amazon. It is super smelly, so if you are somebody that is very sensitive to smells, this might not be the stuff for you, because it is extremely smelly. But what's quite nice is it does dry quite quickly, and it does have a bit of a texture. So where you kind of lay it on thickly in certain places, then you kind of have that texture kind of staying on there as well. Okay, so that's that. Right, so I'm going to put the lid on before I make a complete mess of everything. Pop that to the side. And it does clean up, you know, fairly easily. You do have to do it quite quickly, as I say, because it doesn't take too long to dry. Okay, so this is going to go on the top of here. Okay, so it just adds a little bit of colour and kind of breaks up the 2 sections. So I'm going to very carefully add my glue, try not to obviously smudge it too much. Okay, so I've just given that a minute to dry, so it's all easy to touch now and it's not coming off on my fingers, which is obviously great. So now we need to figure out these leaves. So I'm going to have, like I said, maybe the darker one, and then I've got a couple of lighter ones where the berries are going to go. Oh no, that's one with a berry, isn't it? So I don't want that one. I wanted that one. I think I'm just going to use 2 actually. I was originally going to use 3, but I think I'm just going to use these 2. Just kind of have them stuck there. And because I'm thinking I'm going to have my tab on here, like I've created on this one. So I'm going to have a tab. Now obviously it will come slightly over, so my tab's going to be more likely here. So if I have these to this side, and then obviously my lace is going to be down the bottom. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to stick those down. Just to help, I am going to use some tweezers just because with all these little fiddly pieces, it's just easier. Okay, so that's the first one down. Now this glue is brilliant because it does dry clear, so even if you see some little bits oozing out, it doesn't matter too much. Then I'm going to have that one kind of coming in. It will overlap a little bit, but obviously that's fine. Okay, so that's those 2 pieces. Now I am going to obviously trim those bits off. So that's like that. And then obviously we need the tab at the top. So for the tab, just because obviously it will then go with this, I might use this one, and I was going to use my die that I used last time. So this is the die that I have. I think I got this in a D-stash group, so I haven't got it as part of a set of anything, but I believe it's possibly Spellbinders because of the colour. Spellbinders tend to do this type of colour. So I'm just going to cut that out of this on my die cut machine, and then I'll be back to stick that on and then pop to my sewing machine and do those bits. Right, okay, so there's my die cut piece. I'm just going to fold that over. And as I say, this is going to go on there. Before it goes on there though, I need to get my number ready. So obviously on this one, I've got my number 1. And all I used to create that was it's a craft coloured sticker paper. As you can see, there's my number 1 punched. And then I have got this craft punch, which I got in a, again, D-stash group. And it's absolutely brilliant. So it comes with the kind of punch, and it's got a hole. And then you get all the letters of the alphabet and numbers. And then all you do is you just slot this in. Make sure I've got it the right way up. Yeah, you just slot this in, and then it obviously punches either your letters or your numbers. So I'm just going to pop this in. I'm going to try and use up that space there. But it punches really, really well, and it all just pops out. And then to take this out, you just pull this bit down and it pushes out that bit. But as I said, it's got the full alphabet and numbers, so it's great if you just need a little number like that. If you're interested in knowing what it's called, it's the Cassette Craft Punch. So I've never seen anything like it before. Like I said, I saw it in a D-stash group and it looked really, really good. So yeah. I definitely recommend it. It punches so well. Okay. Before I stick all of my tab on though, I think I'm going to do my stitching down at the bottom. So obviously we've got this, and I'm just trying to work out what way round it goes. That way. And I'm going to fold that over. I'm just going to cut it a little longer than it needs to be, because I can obviously tidy it up once it's all been sewn. But this is my genuine part of the challenge. So that's going to go along the bottom there, and like I said, I know it overhangs either side. I will neaten that up once it's been sewn into place. So I'm going to whiz over to my sewing machine. I'll be back, and then we can do the last little bits, because we've still got, so I've got my genuine, I've got my plum, we need to work on the holes. Right, okay, so that's the bit sewn onto the bottom. So obviously I have got stitching on this other side. I don't mind that at all. There's still plenty of room to journal on the back. So the next thing that I need to do then is think about my holes. Now I'm going to put eyelets in, so I'm going to punch holes and put eyelets in, and I decided just to kind of tie them with what's going on up here. I'm going to have gold eyelets. So I've got 3 here that I'm going to use. I'm just trying to decide whether I want them going up the side or going along the bottom here. I think I might have them along the bottom. Oh my goodness, I can't decide. Yeah, yeah, I think I'm going to have them along the bottom. So I'm just going to grab my crocodile. Now I know I have obviously got the lace, so all I'm going to do is just kind of eyeball it so that I'm just above my lace stitching. And there's the first one. There's the next one. And there's the next one. So I have eyeballed them. You can absolutely measure them if you want to, but they're my holes, and then I'm just going to put eyelets in those holes. Okay, so there's my 3 holes. Again, doesn't interfere because there's still lots of room for writing. So we've got that. Then with my tab, okay, so to have my tabs, now I have made myself a little template just so that my tabs are reasonably evenly spaced. It doesn't matter too much, obviously. But I do want them kind of in place. So this is just to kind of help me sort of know where they go. So I'm going to put my little 2 on first. Now this is on, as I say, a craft sticker paper. So it is a little bit fiddly just trying to get this sticker off. So I'm just going to use my weeding tool just to kind of help peel back that sticker backing. And then my number 2. Goes on the front there. Now what I might do is just go around them with a fine liner at some point, because even on my other one it doesn't stand out a great deal, so I might go around them with a fine liner just to kind of make them stand out. But that's my tab, so that needs to get fixed onto here. So I'm going to use this, as I said, just to help line it up. Now I know that it's white kind of where that hole is. That does not bother me because obviously we've got the lace here and the doily, which I know aren't stark white, but yeah, that, like I said, it just doesn't bother me. So as I say, I'm just going to use the template behind as a guide. to stick these down. So I know it goes roughly there. So I'm just going to straighten it up a little bit because it is a bit wonky. Okay, so the last thing that I wanted to do was to put these bits on there, wasn't it? So I'm going to get some of the blue and some of the purples. How many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, I may not do all of them. So let's just grab some of the purples. And some blues. Okay, so let's just have a little look at where these are going to go. So we can have a blue on there. Oops. Purple. Another blue. Ah, lost it. Lost it. Another purple maybe over here. So something like that. I think I might just have another purple though. Or do I want another blue? Because we've got a lot of purple, haven't we? So let's put another blue on. Move that one over. I'm going to put the blue up the top here. And have that purple. If it comes off the wax, put that on there. Ah, now I've lost my blue one. There we go. Okay, so that's where they're all going to go. So let's get this stuck down. Okay, so that's those bits on there. So we've got those little gems. As I said, the glue will dry clear, so I'm not worried about that. But we've got our 3 rings. So we've got our holes, we've got the plum colour, and the genuine was the genuine lace that I've used down at the bottom. So there is card number 2. I hope again you have fun playing around with these prompts. Just a reminder that you can post your pictures on Instagram or on Facebook. I have a Facebook group where I'm running the challenge. That will be linked down below. This is also being run in the Junk Journaling for Everyone Facebook group as well. So if you are a member of that group, you can also post in there. Thank you very much for joining me again today. This has been another fun challenge, and I will see you all in the next crafty video. Bye for now.